Hi, this is a video to Joe Vegan. Joe, I've been online talking to people, philosophy and politics and stuff, for 30 years. It started when I was 14, actually a little bit longer than that. And the thing is to me, you are a type, I'm sure you're just a regular, unique individual in real life, but your engagement follows a type where I haven't really seen you make a point about my ideas, and I understand it. I understand it through cognitive science that you say you are familiar with. Yeah, what I think is it's like this, okay? These people come along and you decide to more or less right away malign my character, call me dishonest. You call me a sophist. I know what that means, right? And you think what? Because you use the word sophist, I'm not even sure how much you know what it means, I guess. Forget, I don't even care. But you use a word like that and what? You think you're not insulting, you're civil. Because you used an intellectual sounding word and it means something. People have written books about it. I'm sorry, it's an insult. And I take it as an insult. And then you expect civility. You say the way I deal with people with funny voices. I don't deal with everybody that way. There are plenty of people on here I've never dealt with that way. And there's people I've dealt with that way that can take what they can give and don't be insulting and then whine. Like Gary, he's been very rude, and he's probably the most rude I've been has probably been to him. Well, depending on how you count rudeness, because it's basically a little funny voice doesn't amount to a real rudeness. Intellectual insults with meaning actually would be more rude, like the kind you give. You say you're quitting now, but of course you commented a few more times, which that's fine. I just don't say it because I know it's just better to do. But so I'm not going to hold you to that. But I don't believe that you are planning or saying you're going to quit now because of this incivil conversation. You started this right away. I think it's because even you maybe see that your reading comprehension and or honesty is a problem here. The article on metaphysics at Stanford within the second paragraph showed what I'm saying. It shows that every university would say you have to call this metaphysics. No. Furthermore, if you really understood the embodied mind and framing, even if you disagreed with me, you would have to understand that I don't like metaphysics because of the framing. It brings in framing. It's like if you think of an elephant, you don't just think of the biological science of an elephant. Unless you're a vet, you probably don't think of that at all. It's all Dumbo and circuses and peanuts and things associated with elephants just arbitrarily in some cases in your mind. And when you use the word metaphysics, it brings all these, it doesn't matter how many people say, oh, well, it doesn't really mean that non-physical, beyond physics thing anymore. It doesn't mean anything. The Stanford article points that out. They say there is no criteria linking these things. That means that they are in the category of metaphysics because that is the sound that we want to put them to. Well, when we got metaphysics through Aristotle and a few subsequent events, as a term and a distinction, physics and metaphysics, when we ended up with that distinction, there was a meaning to it. It's just that every one of them got beaten back. Well, skeptics like Pyrrho of Elis, anticipated that. They didn't buy this stupid metaphysics kind of idea even back then. For that term, just the whole concept space, doesn't matter what term you put on it. And so I'm supposed to go, well, metaphysics is still here. It's like with God. It's like medieval philosophers. We don't believe in those gods anymore, those Mount Olympus gods. How silly. We believe in the Christian God. And then it's like the deists come along. We don't believe in that silly Christian God. We're deists. We're pantheists. We're just not giving up on the dogmatic, mystical mastery part of this, and we'll make a new name, and it's the God of the gaps, and this is the metaphysics of the gaps. I mean, I'm sorry, I consider you totally beaten when you're defending a category that has no criteria for existence anymore. It's like, well, it does exist. Why? Well, because everybody says that subject falls under that. And that's what you say, except for one problem. Not everybody says that. If you don't know the tradition, I've lost interest of even introducing you to it, Joe. You will have to find it on your own, because I don't think if you can read that metaphysics article and persist the way you have, then I don't think you read too well. I don't even know what you're trying to do. It seems a lot like the Hythloday vindication thing, which is another characteristic of these people who, do a personal insult and then you clarify. They say, you're totally wrong. Then you clarify, and then it's like, oh, they got the wrong end of the stick, and they're like, well, you're not clear enough. And then you clarify more, and they, can't, stick with that, and they're like, well, academics say blah, blah, blah. And never do they really bring a point about the ideas. These people often do have this thing where they're trying to be vindicated and win and stuff. But see, I've argued metaphysics with people before that believe strongly in metaphysics. And we've parted company having each other's positions more well-defined than when we went in, and that's good enough. And we revisit that and other subjects. You're like, you'll never admit you're wrong, that metaphysics is obviously the way you have to think about free will. Well, I'm going to think about willpower the way I think about power in general, which is physically, okay, materially. That's what I'm going to do. You don't know there's a tradition of that? I don't care. I don't have to prove that to you. You want civility? You can still have civility. Just be civil to me. You can't insult me with your little intellectual things and think, well, these are the kinds of insults you get to get away with. It counts as civil if you say real calm voice and it's, real subtle and intellectual word like sophists in there. Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. Just don't insult me and bring up ideas. You can differ with me an infinite amount, but don't question my character or my honesty, because then you make it a waste of time to fucking talk to you. I don't have time to prove my character to you. You mean shit to me. Why do I don't give a fuck if you think I have good character or anything. If you can't tell I have good character, then by me listening to your ideas and telling you my take, and you think I'm mischaracterizing, fine. Who gives a damn? Not me. Okay, so yeah. You've quit because you have no leg to stand on. And you're not brave enough to go through that definition with me. And please prove me wrong, because I did see a glimmer of you accepting that we were getting somewhere, but at the same time you're questioning my integrity and character, and going in the Hythloday, I think you're right, Hythloday, blah, blah, blah. You can't do both of those at once, okay? But I don't really hold a grudge. You want to start going back to just ideas and not calling me or treating me like a sophist, then fine. I have no grudge. I just have an assessment of you currently that I don't think that's very likely, but you have a slightly bigger chance, in my estimation, of doing that than Hythloday.